Yo, what is going on, guys? My name is Sucho322 here, and today I'm bringing you guys the ASL Season 6 Week 7 weekly recap. Finally on time for you guys. I think I uploaded it on Friday for the past 2 weeks, but we're finally back with the normal upload date of Wednesday. And yeah, so sorry it's been so late these past weeks. Just been busy. I finally buckled down and really got it done. I had an opening day, so I just took the opportunity to get this content out on time for you guys. We got a special weekly recap this week. We do have the Commissioner Bowl, which is right down here in the last game, so we'll be covering all that. And yeah, so thank you guys all for tuning into the video. Transactions went up yesterday. The top plays will be going up on Friday. You guys know the drill by now. And yeah, let's go ahead and hop into it. 2-0, 2-0, 3-0, 2-0, 3-0, 3-0, 1-0. So common theme is a 3-0 or a 2-0. So for the first game, we have the Wenters Weavile taking on the St. Louis Swablues. We have Thunder Starion as one of our weekly heroes. It got 6 kills in this match, putting on an absolute clinic. And let's go ahead and hop into it. So we have Mega Beedrill taking on the Kartana. And Kartana is going to swap right out into Goodra because Mega Beedrill is going to outspeed. Kartana doesn't want to take anything. And Goodra is going to be chunked down really low immediately. Milan is going to go out into his Kartana as Vish sets up a substitute with his Komodo, or not his Komodo, his Comfey, my bad. And the Kartana is going to be able to go for a Smart Strike. It's going to show off that it is a Life Orb variant. And Milan is going to go out into his Slurpuff predicting... probably predicting something like Rotom to come out, maybe. Who knows? Rotom is going to go for the Will-O-Wisp as the Slurpuff sets up the webs and then goes for a Yawn on the following turn. Now Rotom is going to go for the Volt Switch, get on out of there, get into the Heatran, which is going to take anything from this thing as long as it's not something like a Drain Punch. And Malone is going to go ahead and wish up his Goodra, hoping he can take this Flash Cannon. Vish is going to miss the Magma Storm. You know, it's a little unfortunate, but he would have lived, or Malone would have lived the Magma Storm anyways, so it would have just trapped the Goodra in. That's about it. Goodra's going to go for the Earthquake, and Vish is going to make the play into his Rotom Frost, try and pressure this down with like a Blizzard. But the Rotom is going to be able to get off the Defog, and then can go ahead and Volt Switch on the following turn if that's what Vish wants to do. But he's actually just going to go for the Blizzard, and this looks to me like a specially defensive Slurpuff. That is going to wish into the Primate as Vish is going to get a Volt Switch off. So Primate's going to pretty much come in for free, but the Thundurus does come out, and the Thundurus can threaten this thing out. As it does, Malone is going to go into his Goodra, and Thundurus is going to go for the Supersonic Sky Strike. This is pretty much confirming that it is a physical Thundurus, as it is taking out the Goodra there with the Z-Fly. So Donphan sets up the rocks, but is forced out because of Tangrowth coming in. Thundurus can come in, and it shows to be a Z-move variant of its own. So we see Heatran coming in on the Sludge Wave. Malone knows he can't take the thing out in one hit, so he's going to swap out, but Heatran goes for the Protect, so Vish not really gaining anything on that turn. And he's going to see what this Primate wants to lock itself into. And Vish is just going to go into his Comfey, making a good play there, not assuming the Scarf. Scarf looked likely, but he didn't assume it, and he's looking fine. But the Roselli Berry is going to come out from Primate, and the Gunk Shot is going to miss, so good prep on Malone's part, but honestly just quite unfort is the best way to describe that one. And Kartana is going to be coming out. Kartana can do a lot of damage to this incoming Tangrowth. That looks to be physically defensive Tangrowth, but that's still doing a really good chunk to a really bulky Mon. Out comes the Slurpuff as Vish is going to go out into his Heatran, so just really preventing this Slurpuff from being able to do any actual work. And Vish is going to miss another Magma Storm, so Malone is able to get up the Sticky Webs again. This is very unfortunate for Vish. He's going to go for it again. He's finally going to land it this time, and now this just means that Vish is going to have to get a defog off later if he really thinks that hazards are this big of an issue. So out comes Kartana as Tangrowth was doubled into, so Kartana's play is to go for Swords Dance here, but Tangrowth is not messing around. It's just going to go for a Hidden Power Fire, and it looks like right now Malone is in a very bad position. He's going to go for the Bulk Up. Tangrowth is going to go for the Energy Ball. It almost kills it. And it's going to go for the Gunk Shot, does a lot of damage, and then Tangrowth gets rid of it. So Vish is up 6-2, but it is time for Thundurus to shine. With the Tangrowth being forced out, Thundurus is going to be able to set up a nasty plot, and things are going to get real bad for Vish real fast. So the Thundurus is going to go ahead and go for its Gigavolt Havoc, killing the Heatran. And now the Rotom Frost is going to come out. Rotom Frost can go for a Blizzard, but it's not going to live this Sludge Wave. It's going to go down. Out comes the Comfey. Comfey's going to get off a Draining Kiss to try and put this thing in range for the Mega Beedrill. Sludge Wave is going to do damage, and it is going the oh my god, I can't even speak. So the Thunderous coming out is going to go for the return, trying to do some damage into the opposing Thunderous. It's just Vicious in such a bad spot because these webs coming up. So Sludge Wave is going to be able to kill off the Tangrowth, and Vicious not been able to go into his Mega Beedrill until now because it gives him the best chance to live. He's still not going to. But that just shows that I'm not trying to dock Malone for the win, but he actually won on hacks, because if Vish landed the Magma Storm and prevented Malone from setting up the hazards, then the Mega Beedrill plus Tangrowth would have won. But unfortunate, and Thunderous Starion will pick up 6 kills against Fish. So unlucky. Fish has been an absolute hacks magnet. So moving into the next match, we have the Philadelphia Flygons against the Slowbrohemians, as Ferret's name on the server was Ferret 0-13. That is incorrect. As I say to every coach, everyone will win at some point. It is time for Ferret to get his win, as he got 6 kills with Sylveon. And let's go ahead and hop into it. Against the reigning champion, by the way. So we have Archeops against Heliolisk. And Kyurem is going to come right on out, predicting an Electric type move, but Ferret just goes right out into his Celesteela. And the Heavy Slam is going to do a lot of damage, but Ice Beam does a lot of damage in return. So this looks like a really bulky Kyurem and a really offensive Celesteela. So the X-Cloud is going to go for a Fire Blast, as the Registeel is sitting in here. X-Cloud is going to go for another Fire Blast, so it's just going to be trying to chunk through this Registeel. It's doing a very efficient job of that. And X-Cloud is probably just going to stay in here and click another Fire Blast, but it's actually going to go for the Focus Blast, potentially predicting the Kyurem to come out. But X-Cloud is just going to fire up a Boom Burst. That's not going to really help against a Calm-Minding Uxie. And Ferret is going to be forced down into his Celesteela, as this Uxie is going to set up another Calm Mind, and TJ is going to opt to stay in with his Uxie, obviously, because it's set up, and is going to go for a Psychic, get rid of the Celesteela, but Celesteela gets a lot of damage off onto this Uxie, which is going to help out the Heliolisk taking it down. Heliolisk is not going to be at a range where it 2 KOs this thing, but it does get a good chunk of damage off, and can go for another Thunderbolt. It's going to sack itself off, so Uxie is going to get 2 kills, but that does eliminate Uxie from the match, essentially. As the Sylveon will hit the field, it's going to go for the Hyper Beam, so Ferret is packing all the shenanigans. And the Registeel is going to go for a Toxic, pretty much showing that he does not have an Iron Head, or teacher just not wanting to click the Iron Head, as Ferret is going to come out into the X-Blood. Yeah, showing Earthquake, that's going to confirm no Iron Head, at least in my eyes. So X-Blood goes for the Focus Blast, which does not kill, and X-Blood will die. So Ferret is not in the greatest of positions. He's down 5-3 at this point, but he's going to go into his Torkoal. He can kill this thing, he can go for rocks, he can Rapid Spin. He's going to opt to go for the Lava Plume, though. He's going to get a lot of damage being in the sun. Against that Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz is going to go for the Roost, as Torkoal is going to set up rocks of its own. And Ferret is trying to just get the Mandibuzz to defog, but he guess he's going to go for the spin there. So maybe not wanting to rely on TJ to click defog. This is a good position for TJ to click defog right now, though, as he's actually just going to Foul Play instead. As in comes the Sylveon, and Sylveon's going to go for the Hyper Voice. And at this point, this is a Scarf Sylveon, so this Sylveon is going to do a lot of damage. There's not a lot of things that actually want to come in on this thing. Ferret's going to go out into his Torkoal, just trying to play it safe. And he's going to let that thing go down, and then he can go back out into his Sylveon and can go for the Hyper Voice. And this is going to force something in of TJ's, something that he doesn't want to bring in. Out comes the Mandibuzz, which is not going to really do any damage, and Hyper Voice is just going to kill it anyways. And Sylveon is starting to put in a lot of work. The Toxic is going to be working against Ferret, but he's going to go for the Hyper Voice again. It's going to kill the Gallade, and all that stands between Ferret and his first victory is this Archeops. And he's going to go for the Hyper Voice, and it does kill. So Choice Scarf Sylveon really putting in the work here, as Ferret is going to be able to collect a 2-0 victory over TJ and the Slowbrohemians. So for the third match of the week, we have the Jersey Justice taking on the Houston Hoopas, as we would have had Garchomp as a weekly hero, but it's already been weekly hero, so got to give other Mons a chance, as AZ is going to fall to a surprising 2-5. Had a very rocky start after narrowly missing out on the playoffs last season, so interesting things there, as Milan is going to come up to a record that we'd pretty much expect him to be at in most circumstances. And yeah, let's hop into it. So we have Mega Deontay taking on a Cutie Fly. Cutie Fly probably wanted to go ahead and set up the webs, but it thinks better against it, seeing as there was a Deontay lead. And Deontay goes for the Diamond Storm, and then just goes for the Protect, seeing if the Ferrothorn wanted to set up rocks, or if it wanted to set up Leech Seed, or just Gyro Ball. Just wants Gyro Ball. Pangoro is going to try and pressure it out, but gets to see a Toxapex instead. Shows Life Orb, as this Toxapex is going to get actually decimated by that Thunder Punch. And Toxapex does go for a Scald, doesn't get a burn, so this puts Milan in a good situation. He's going to go and make the middle ground play into his Shaman, possibly predicting the Ferrothorn to come back out. But the Miltank does go for the Body Slam, and this allows Deontay to just click Diamond Storm. Milan obviously trying to go for that defense boost because he does not want to take a big Earthquake. But the Miltank will just go for a Milk Drink, as the Deontay will be happy to fire off Moonblasts, which does a lot of damage to this Toxapex, and we'll see if Milan just wants to go for the Diamond Storm. He does, and Toxapex just goes for a recover, so we might see a swap here from Milan. He does swap into his Garchomp. He knows he's going to take nothing for the Skull. All he has to fear is a burn or an Ice Beam, but out comes the Landorus. Milan is going to, again, make another middle ground play and just go for the Stealth Rocks instead of going for like an HP Ice or an Earthquake. So Lando just goes for a Supersonic Sky Strike, goes ahead and destroys Kaffa, or does lots of damage with the to the Kaffa. So we see Pain Split coming out. It's going to get Kaffa some of its health back. And then out comes Mega Deontay again, as Miltank is going to opt to get some health back with the Milk Drink. And Garchomp comes out with a Body Slam. And it looks to be Rough Skin Rocky Helmet Garchomp. Likely there for the Mega Medicham. I'm just trying to chip it down in any way it can. So AZ is playing this really stally. He's going to get his leftovers knocked off. And Kaffa is going to be swapped out for the Shaman. Shaman is going to absorb the Body Slam. Shaman doesn't really mind because it can swap out and remove the paralysis anyways. Seed Flare is going to do a lot of damage to the Toxapex, and the special defense drop is not going to help AZ in the slightest. So Milan is going to get paralyzed, so we will never know what he went for. And the Shaman is going to go for a Synthesis here, get some health back. And this is an interesting game. This is pretty boring right now because Milan is just getting haxed. We'll see if he gets haxed all the way down. It's looking like that's going to happen. AZ is just going for it. Yep. Okay. Well, alrighty then, folks. Miltank just hacks the Shaman into the absolute ground. Okay. So, the Pangoro is going to be coming out. Drain Punch will get it enough health back to where it lives the Life Orb damage. So, not bad, not bad. And AZ is going to go into his Landorus, as Pangoro is just going to go ahead and go for the Ice Punch. Beautiful play coming out from Milan. Read that situation perfectly, and it's going to die, but it's not going to be in vain in the slightest. Garchomp can come out here. Garchomp's going to go for an Earthquake, which is going to two-shot this Ferrothorn. That would be if it wasn't for this Leech Seed. Ferrothorn is rocking Leech Seed Protect, but Milan, again, playing the situation perfectly. He's going to set up a Swords Dance, and he puts AZ on the back foot right now. He's got to sack off his Cutie Fly. Pretty much just gives up the fact that he's ever going to be able to set up webs. And then Garchomp is going to go for a big Earthquake. Doesn't kill the Miltank, but something dies on the following turn. AZ is going to just sack his Miltank. And Garchomp will die on the following turn if Milan wants to keep it in. And he's going to swap, predicting the Protect coming out from AZ, as that is what AZ goes for. Pretty predictable play, but that was his best play. So Kaffa is going to go for the knockoff here, gets rid of this thing's Aqua Berry, and the Ferrothorn is going to miss a Leech Seed, so very unfortunate there. But Kaffa is going to go for the Shadow Ball, gets a special defense drop. That's really important, because now the Shadow Ball is definitely going to kill. So out comes the Tyrantrum to try and take on the Shadow Ball. It's going to do well over half, and I can't imagine Kaffa dying to this. Head Smash is going to miss, but I'm pretty sure Kaffa would have lived anyways. So for AZ to salvage this game, he's got to do it with his very, very, very good wall core, might I add. So we're going to see Knockoff get rid of the Black Sludge. Coming out from the Toxapex, it's going to go for a Recover. And Cofagrigus is going to go for the Shadow Ball, just trying to get that special defense drop to really pressure it out. Because Ferrothorn is pretty much going to die on switch in, so Milan's goal is to just get special defense drops to try and pressure this thing. So with that being his play, he finally gets the special defense drop, and he's going to just sack off the Ferrothorn. Ferrothorn is going to die on the following turn. I believe Kaffa is faster than Ferrothorn. Protect, yada yada yada. Boom, down it goes with Shadow Ball. And now it's just Toxapex against the world. Spadef drops are eventually going to rack up. So we're seeing him get low a little bit. There's the Spadef drop, and Kaffa does go down, but Garchomp just gets to hit the field and gets to murder this Toxapex. So that is going to be the game. The Jersey Justice are going to win 3-0 over the Houston Hoopas. And I say this every time I speed up the replays, but I feel like I should. If you ever do not like me speeding up a replay, that is fine. All the replays are linked down below in the description, so you can check them out at your leisure. So, in the next match, we have another situation where we would have had a weekly hero had they not been a weekly hero already. Nidoking picking up 4 kills against Brett and his Seattle Togedemaru's. So, let's go ahead and see this. Shadow's going to lead off with his Alolan Ninetales, as Brett is going to lead out with a Jirachi. So Shadow is going to stay in with his Alolan Ninetales, playing it risky turn 1, but just figuring that Rocks would come up or U-turn would come out. So Brett is going to double from his Clefable into his Tauros. It's going to take the Blizzard, not well, but it does take it to some degree. And the Tauros is going to bring the Sandslash really, really weak with that Endeavor. Nice stuff. And then Tauros is going to be able to go for the Earthquake, get rid of it. I don't know what happened there. Shadow might not have put Slush Rush on it. That could have been a thing, but the Clefable is going to protect, see what this thing wants to go for. And Nidoking tried to go for the Earth Power, trying to see if Jirachi would come out. Brett is going to double from his Gliscor into his Jirachi now, seeing as the Ice Beam is going to come out. Now he's going to double back to his Gliscor on the Earth Power. So Brett is playing Shadow really well right now, but he's now going to just sack off his Gliscor to the Ice Beam, and Greninja is going to be able to come out. Greninja does pressure quite a bit with that Ice Beam, but out comes the Alolan Ninetales, which is going to take pretty much nothing. That is assuming that there's no crit drawn, but there was a crit, so it's unlucky for Shadow. But the Jirachi is going to be sitting in. It's going to click Iron Head, does a bit over a quarter of Tentacruel's health, and then Jirachi goes right out into the Mega Ampharos, trying to pressure. And out comes Celebi. So not the worst situation for Mega Ampharos. So Brett's going to click the green light, or hit the green light on Mega Ampharos. It's going to go for the Thunderbolt, as this is a Swords Dance Celebi, which is going to be sped past, or speed past, into the Mega Sharpedo. I don't agree with that play in the slightest from Shadow. I don't really understand why he did that, but okay. I mean, I guess. If you didn't find it useful, but Gren is going to freeze this Tentacruel, so this is really, really bad for Shadow. The Scald is going to come out from the Tentacruel though, and Jirachi is going to be able to get rid of the Tentacruel. So out comes Nidoking. Nidoking doesn't fear the Jirachi. It's going to go for a Sludge Wave, get rid of the Clefable right now, but with Tentacruel down, it's going to be very hard for Shadow to be able to swap into this Greninja. Which, going for the Ice Beam, very, very interesting play coming out from Brett, unless he was not packing a Water-type move. If he wasn't packing a Water-type move, then I can understand why, but just the Water-type move is the play there. So Gren does get rid of it with an Acid Downpour, and then can go for a U-turn, as Shadow did double into his Nidoking, so he needs to not get flinched here. But it's looking very grim anyways. So Brett giving this Nidoking a Choice Scarf is actually going to lose him the game. I'm pretty sure either Brett said he either said he choked or he said he misclicked. It was one of the two. Don't quite remember, not even gonna lie. But the Celebi is going to live on 2%, and that is going to be the game. I don't know if we can look back. The Nidoking might have died to the Water Shuriken. I'm gonna guess it depends on how many hits the Water Shuriken gets. So that's a that is going to be a 2-0 victory for Shadow in the PC Barcelona, as he will keep a very strong playoff race going up until this point, being one of the two 4-3 teams and sitting in a current playoff spot. So, next match that we have loaded up for you guys, we have the Hartford Wilmers taking on the Utah Hoots. We have TCP with his undefeated streak so far. He is 7-0 with a plus 24 differential, as I don't know if I'm reading this right, but it says Susie did not get any kills. So I might be reading this right. I might be reading this wrong. Let's go ahead and find out, shall we? So first up, we have Florges taking on Glaceon. And Empoleon is going to come out as Florges goes for the Moonblast into Empoleon. Now, Florges is going to go for the Magic Coat, predicting Stealth Rocks to come out. So very good on TCP's part. His team does not consist of Stealth Rocks, so that was his way of getting up rocks. Not bad at all. And he's going to try and set up some spikes, but Susie's not having it. He's going to roar it out. But the Mega Latios does go for the Earthquake, but Susie is going to go ahead and sit in here with his Mismagius. Is not going to be liking the Psyshock damage. He does get off a Toxic though onto this Latios, but not Mismagius, but Misdreavus is going to drop as Tapu Koko comes out. Tapu Koko is going to try and pressure out this Mega Latios. Mega Latios just doesn't care. It's not going to be 2-hit KO. Well, it would be 2-hit KO'd, but TCP just doesn't care because he's going to go for the Earthquake here. The Empoleon is packing a Shucka, so the Latios is forced to stay in because it dies to rocks. So TCP is just going to go for the Earthquake, and he's going to let his Mega Latios go down. But he did do a lot of work. He burned his Shucka Berry, got rid of a Misdreavus, and he basically killed the Glaceon. And Florges is going to go for the Moonblast. It does get rid of the Glaceon. So it should be Misdreavus has 1 kill. You know what? Since I'm annoyed by it, mark that up. Back to this we go. You guys get to see the interior of this dock. But yeah, we see Mamoswine go for the Earthquake, big Earthquake, and the poison. Okay, who issued the poison? Glaceon. God damn it, Susie. What are you doing? What are you doing? There we go. Glaceon has a kill. And we're up to here-ish. Right there. Sure. So Mamoswine is going to go for the Earthquake, and the Escavalier is going to go for the Drill Run, knocking out the Mamoswine. We're sitting at 4-3 in favor of TCP. He's going to swap out into his Roserade. Does not want to take a Scald with his Escavalier. And Roserade can just go ahead and go for the Synthesis, try and get some more health as the Empoleon goes for a Flash Cannon, which is going to keep the Roserade lower. And Roserade is just going to go ahead and knock out the Empoleon. Mega Pinsir is going to come out here. Mega Pinsir goes for the return. That's a kill for Mega Pinsir. Right there. And then boom, we're back to where we need to be. So Mega Pinsir is going to try and break through this Avalugg, but it is just not working. And the Avalanche will be able to take it out. We'll see if Tapu Koko is able to break through this thing. Tapu Koko does go for the Dazzling Gleam, is not going to kill. And down goes the Tapu Koko with Avalanche. So Susie was just trying to predict the Diggersby coming in, but that is not going to be the case. 3-0 victory for the Hartford Wilmers. And for the 6th game of the day, we have the Denver Numbers and the Chicago Conch Elders. The Master playing Dave. And it is very sad game. It is a very sad game because this is the Master's last game of his current ASL career. He did retire after this week, but good news for you guys. We have Brad, our commissioner, coming back as coach. He's going to be taking over the Master's team effective week 8, effective immediately. So in the week 8 weekly recap, you'll see Brad showcasing his skills once again for the ASL community. So there is 1 plus coming out of this, but it is sad to see the Master go. And yeah, let's just go ahead and hop into it. So we have Bronzong taking on the Alolan Persian. And the Alolan Persian is going to set up a nasty plot right away, trying to catch this Bronzong, go for Stealth Rocks, but the Master is just going to go for the Flash Cannon. He gets a lot of damage off, but the Alolan Persian does get off a Dark Pulse and one-shots it. So Hariyama is going to pressure out the Alolan Persian, and then is going to crit the Rotom. So the Master is going to be doing a lot of work with this Hariyama early game, and Rotom's got a Volt Switch out, which does a lot of damage to be fair. And then Mesprit is going to come in to sponge the hit from the Hariyama. And the Mesprit is likely going to go for a Psychic, but it does go for the Psyshock instead, as Hariyama goes into the Mew. And Mew is going to go for the Toxic, trying to just wear this thing down. And now the Mesprit gets off a Synchronize, so that essentially wasted Mew's turn. Mew's turn was effectively useless. It's going to go for the Nightshade now, as the rocks are going to come up from Mesprit. And Mew goes for the Roost, trying to stay alive. And Mesprit is going to swap out. It is the Rocky Helmet Mew. We do see that now. And the Alolan Persian is going to go for the Dark Pulse, getting rid of the Mew. Demaster just felt like it wasn't worthy anymore, or it wasn't useful anymore, I guess. But Hariyama is going to come out here, gets a big kill onto the Alolan Persian, which was Life Orb and Nasty Plot, so pressuring Demaster's team a lot. And out comes the Mega Pidgeot. Mega Pidgeot just gets to claim a kill here. It doesn't really matter what, something dies. And then out comes the Mega Gyarados. And Mega Pidgeot does go for the Hurricane. Does 52%. Mega Gyarados gets a big Dragon Dance. And Mega Gyarados is going to go for the Waterfall here. Is not going to kill. Crunch might have killed. Maybe. Probably not, though. Actually, it does the same. I'm thinking of Mega Shark. But anyways, Nidoqueen is going to be able to sponge it and then go for an Ice Beam. But the Master's down 4-2, and this Infernape is going to go for the Earthquake. Out comes the Kyurem Black, as Dave is going to go ahead and just go for the Flare Blitz. Does a lot of damage. And Kyurem can set up a sub. Kyurem will be able to get through this Infernape, but that is going to be about it. Mach Punch is going to break the sub, and then Earth Power gets a crit. Obviously, crit didn't matter. But now out comes the Zygarde. Zygarde will be able to just get off this nice little extreme speed, and will be able to win the game for the Chicago Conch Elders 3-0 in Dave's favor. So, now, ladies and gentlemen, for the main event of the night, the main event of the week, we have the weekly, or not the weekly, we have the Commissioner Bowl. So if you guys don't know what this is, it's not the Commissioner Bowl, it's the Management Bowl. It's what the Commissioner Bowl was replaced by. So every season in the ASL we have the Commissioner Bowl, which is where Brad plays Ian, but neither of them are actually coaches this season. So we're going to have it be myself versus Ian, which is the Management Bowl, because we're both on management, and we actually still play in the ASL. That statement is no longer true for Brad, but at the time that's what the circumstances were. So we had a lot of fun on Sunday. We had, what was it, Jeopardy. We had random battles. We had speed drafts. We had stuff going for like 8 hours. Just having an ASL community day. It was a lot of fun. I was hosting a lot of it, and yeah, it was really just nice to play Mons with my friends all day. So yeah, that was nice. But anyways, here was the main event of the day. We have the Commissioner Bowl, and if you guys hate Haxi games, just turn off your monitor, please. With that being said, let's hop into it. Okay, so we got Tornadus Starion taking on Rotom Heat. We got U-turn coming out immediately. Rotom is going to go for the Volt Switch of its own, so early pivoting as EN is going to be in with his Altaria. I'm going to go into my Steelix, and Slowbro is going to come out on the Toxic from Steelix here. And Steelix is going to swap out into the Quagsire, sponging up this Scald. It's going to do a good amount, 34% and a burn. So the Slowbro is going to swap out into the Tornadus Therian as Quagsire gets off a Scald, potentially predicting the swap or just wanting some damage off. So out comes the Rotom, since Rotom is not going to take that much from the Tornadus. Altaria does come out, and Rotom is going to go ahead and go for the Volt Switch, I believe. Yeah, it goes for the Volt Switch, as Altaria is going to be crit on this turn. Oh my god, crit matter, dude. But out comes the Slowbro as the Steelix goes for the Gyro Ball, just trying to get some damage off on the Altaria, but Ian is not going to let me. As out comes the Latias, and here it begins, boys. We are going to see Latias get frozen. It's actually a taste of my own medicine. And Latias is going to stay frozen for the duration of its life. And down goes Latias, my win con. So, yeah, we're having a fun time already. So, Ian is going to be up 6-5. Bisharp is going to come out trying to put some pressure on this thing. It's going to go for the low kick, trying to predict the Cobalion to come in. And going to go into the Quagsire, as Drapion is going to really do nothing with that Earthquake. And Quagsire is going to be able to get off a recover here to get its health a little bit higher. And then Tornadus Therian is going to likely go for the U-turn. And that is what is going to happen. Rotom's going to be sitting in here again, but Ian actually has no way of pressuring Rotom, so it's pretty free against his team. So Hyper Voice is going to come out here. Rotom goes for the Volt Switch again, gets out into the Steelix, just trying to put on the pressure with that potential Gyro Ball. Steelix is going to double into Rotom Heat, though, being able to pressure the Slowbro a little bit more. Ian is going to go out into his Raikou as the Rotom goes for a Volt Switch. And out comes the Steelix. So Steelix looking to be the answer for the Raikou and the Mega Altaria. As Ian goes into his Slowbro, he's just going to sponge the Earthquake very easily. Steelix goes out into the Quagsire, as the Slowbro is going to be able to get off a nice little Scald. Burn is going to rack up a little bit on the Quagsire. Altaria is going to come in. Quagsire goes for the recover. So just playing it safe both sides right now. Quagsire does go for the Toxic, as it's going to take a really big Hyper Voice. And Quagsire is going to be swapped out into the Rotom Heat, as Mega Altaria does go for the Roost. And now the Rotom goes for the Hidden Power Ice or the Volt Switch. Goes for the Hidden Power Ice. Getting 31% off as Rotom is now Toxic. And Altaria is not in a position where it wants to stay in. So the Rotom goes for the Volt Switch. Getting out into, you guessed it, the Steelix. Trying to pressure out the Raikou. Out comes the Tornado Starion as doubling into Quagsire. I don't remember why it doubled into Quagsire. Just sack it, I guess. But gonna go into Crobat here, predicting the Grass Knot to come out. Gonna go for the Brave Bird, doing lots of damage to this Tornadus. This Tornadus is gonna go for the U-turn. And in comes the Cobalion. So going out into the Steelix, predicting a potential Stone Edge. It's not going to be the case as I go ahead and go back out into Crobat, predicting a potential close combat. Rocks being up are going to hurt my team a lot. So Ian is going to be just sitting in here with his Slowbro, doing actually whatever he wants. And is going to go for the Ice Beam. Is going to knock out the Quagsire. But out comes the Bisharp. Bisharp is going to go for the knockoff here. And is going to do a lot of damage to the Drapion, getting rid of its Assault Vest. And then out comes the Steelix. Steelix can take anything that this Drapion wants to really throw at it. So the Slowbro is going to come out as Steelix sets up the rocks, just trying to put on some switch pressure. But Slowbro is going to go for the Scald. It does get the burn, and the Steelix is going to do nothing with the Earthquake. It wasn't going to do anything anyways, but you know, why not? And as the Steelix goes down, it is 6-3 in Ian's favor. It's looking very grim for myself at this point. But I do go for the low kick here. We catch the Cobalion. And Ian is just going to go ahead and stay in. Sack of his Cobalion to this Sucker Punch. And Bisharp is going to claim a kill. And is going to open up these next couple of plays. So Ian is going to stay in. He's going to win the 50-50 with Sucker Punch Mind Game. Sucker Punch would have killed his Raikou. And I was trying to play as if he was going to sub. So fun times. And Raikou is going to go ahead and soak up the Shadow Ball as it goes for the Calm Mind. And is going to Shadow Ball of its own as Rotom is going to go for the Shadow Ball. And that is going to be a special defense drop. It doesn't really matter. It's just going to put this thing in range of Crobat. So it is Crobat against the frickin' world right now. And you guys are looking at the stat sheet right now. Oh, just check this out. We got Brave Bird coming out from the Crobat. And it needs a crit to stay in the game. Well, it's going to get the crit. So down goes the Slowbro. And out comes the Tornado Starion. And to win the game, Crobat has to dodge a Hurricane. Would you frickin' know it? The bird is blind, ladies and gentlemen. And Crobat is going to dodge a Hurricane. And I'm going to be sitting at a healthy HP. And going to go for the Brave Bird. Out comes the Raikou. Guess what? You're dying to a Brave Bird. Crobat is going to pick up its third kill of the match. Down goes the Raikou. Out comes the Drapion. Drapion does not get any form of priority. It's going to die to the Brave Bird as well, living the recoil as out comes the Mega Altaria. It is going to drop to the Brave Bird as the Portland Timbers are going to hack their way to victory for a 1-0 victory. So that was a really awful game. Like, Ian froze my Latios to death, which was my win con because it was Tailwind to set up the Bisharp. But then I also crit him and then missed. And then he missed. So yeah, that pretty much summed up Mons in one game. But yeah, that is going to be the game. The Portland Timbers are going to take the first ever Management Bowl. And again, a very hacksy fashion. Don't think I deserve to win that game, but yeah, I'll take it. And yeah, that is going to be the game. Thank you guys all for watching. That is going to be the video. And yeah, thank you guys all for watching. And I'll see you guys in the next video, which should be either the transactions video or the ASL Season 6 Week 8 weekly recap. But anyways, I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.